Yeah, I think when you saw her breakdown this morning, you would have understood that she did so because she can recall and recollect all those horror stories and the sleepless nights and the long hours that she has had to spend to ensure that she could save lives. And I guarantee you that she has saved more lives than many of us can count. Noka is going to uh, coordinate the panel, and the panel is going to coordinate the plenary discussions. Also on the panel, to Noka's right, is Ravi Dev, another name that most people would know. Ravi is a social and cultural activist. Uh, he's, in a sense, someone that I look up to, fabulous academic, fabulous writer, and even though I've been a journalist for almost 30 years, I don't think I can come anywhere close to writing the way he does. I admire him tremendously. He's well respected, and I've seen how he interacts with people. It is exemplary. On the other side of Narca is a name that some of you probably would have known, Dr. Samad. Dr. Samad is a former head of the Berbice campus of the University of Guyana. Uh, in some ways, he can be considered a political activist. He certainly is a social activist. He's done research on suicide in Berbice, so he's very familiar with the issues. And we were expecting somebody from Help and Shelter. Is that individual here?
I am representing Help and Shelter.
Okay, so you're going to sit on the panel?
I wasn't informed. This is it.
Okay, and please introduce yourself first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pamela Knott, one of the directors of Help and Shelter.
Thank you, Pamela. In your folders are some documents that are going to be used as the basis to spearhead the discussions. There are 4 plenary sessions focusing on 4 issues: suicide, sexual crimes including rape and incest, abuse including domestic and child abuse, and drugs and alcoholism. Each issue has 2 documents in there. One is what we call a SWOT. SWOT is an acronym, what some people refer to as an abbreviation, that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What we've done was to take what we were able to infer as it relates to each of the, what are the strengths, if you're an activist and advocate, what would be the strengths that would support what you do? What might be the opportunities to help foster what you do? What would be the threats that will impede and hinder what you do, and so on and so forth. And then the second document is an overview. So we have an overview, a bird's eye view sort of suicide as it relates to Guyana, or sexual crimes, or whatever else. Now, let me emphasize very clearly that these are not academic documents, because this is not an academic conference. They're neither comprehensive nor exhaustive. They're just meant for those of us who maybe don't have the statistics and the information at our fingertips. They're meant to give you that kind of bird's eye view. They're meant to drive the discussion, because as I said this morning, the discussion is not going to be on the academics. It's not going to be on what the picture is. We know what the picture is. It's going to be on what can we do to start this process of bringing about redress? What can be the roles, etc., etc. Now, Narka is going, I'm going to hand over to Narka, who's going to set the parameters and get us going. Narka? Oh, and introduce the members of the Caribbean Voice first.
Oh, no. Okay. Morning again. And this time I actually can speak. I apologize for breaking down, but this is an issue that all of us as a Caribbean Voice, and as well as you guys here, really know that needs to be addressed, and I thank you for being here. I really do thank you. What I will ask is simple. Please don't say this is an Indian problem, because I'm going to have a problem with you. This is a Guyanese problem. And as people, we got to do something about this. That's all. Respect. And please be willing to listen. You don't have to agree. Just listen. Because it might be something that you can give back that I will be able to help another person. Every region has a specific factor that contributes to this problem. We're just asking you to listen. Let's work together and figure out how we can deal with this issue. Oops.
You're a little distant from the mic.
First of all, I'm Guyanese. First of all, I'm mixed up. So I'm either black, Indian, Chinese, Portuguese, or whatever you want to call it. I'm Guyanese. That's it. I'm just Guyanese. I'm just here to help. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. That's why we're here. Respect is a big thing. Listening is key. That's what I've been preaching all the time. Please listen. I'm a survivor, so for those who don't understand what that means is that I've lost enough family members to know what the pain feels like. And it doesn't go away, trust me. It really does not. So I'm hoping that we can come up with some kind of solution here, or at least begin to speak to each other and respect each other's opinion. Don't have to agree. I'll say this again. But just listen. If we start listening, maybe we'll teach somebody else to listen. It takes, each of us can teach somebody, and each of us can learn. I'm here to learn too, because I do not understand all the dynamics. I've done this for over 25 years, but I do not understand all of it. No matter how much education I have, it still does not answer all the questions. So please be open-minded, and let's give each other feedback, and let's teach each other. Let's see what we can do to make this problem go away. And I'm not picking on Guyana, because I live in Indiana. I live in the United States. And my state is leading the United States. For all the 50 states, my state is leading with the area of suicide. So this is not, I'm not here to pick. I'm just here to learn as well. Maybe you can tell me something that can help my group there too. Thank you, and let's get this work done. Thank you very much. Let's start with, shoot your questions, or any questions you have, and let's go from there. Anything.
Maybe if you want to take a few minutes and run through the documents you have in there, you can do that as well.
Root causes of suicide and self-harm. Let's not forget the second part, because there is suicide and there is self-harm, self-cutting, and so on and so forth. Now, what do you think are some of the root causes? And then we could launch the discussion into that. Yes, ma'am.
Or as well for the other four, you gave me suicide first, right?
Yes.
And then maybe you can add to that what you think might be a way of bringing about relief. If you
Support center, we look after AIDS, domestic violence, and we look after, we take care of children as well as gathering and women's round table. We look after the interest of women. That's in the organization was formed in February. Now, suicide. Frustration is the cause of suicide. Huh? Now, the root cause. Take for instance one example of one person, she's the only child for a mother, and no one is there, the mother is sick, no one is there to take care of the mother other than herself. The family, none of the cousins, aunts, nobody's helping her. So she came to Dr. Down's store telling her that, she isn't able anymore, no one is helping her, that she's going to commit suicide. So Dr. Down's store asked her the reason why. She said, well, when I commit suicide, is that they would take care of her mother. Right? Frustration had another girl, she gone with some other chap, and then the gentleman, he depressed, it shouldn't be that, and so he went and he killed the chap, and it was homicide, and then with a girl, the chap who was 6, she was 14 years old at the time, she was in Archer Hospital, they had to take care of her. So I say, I feel frustration. When you're frustrated, you don't know what to do, you don't have anybody. I counsel people. I have the young who come to me for counseling because some of their parents, they don't listen to them. They come to me crying, telling me, Auntie Cheryl, this is it, and I have to counsel them because what instead of the prayer telling them the right thing, they won't tell them the right thing. So when you're frustrated, you don't know what to do, right way to Toronto is that, well, I'm not able anymore. Oh, let me take my life. That's it.
I've heard that too.
So, just second, right? So there are 2 points there so far.
So,
One is frustrations, right? And the other is isolation in the face of responsibilities,
Yep.
right? So two.
Thank you.
Nope. No, we got it. We're writing.
Good morning. I wear many hats. My name is Chris Officer, but I'm with the IRO and the Hurricane Southside Legal Organization. I was bringing up a question at our table during the break, and I think the reason why this came up last night and this program is here this morning, I think it's relevant. It makes it more relevant. I heard the sister said about respect. I think that word really needs to resonate within our society. Respect. And it's a word that I've been trying to promote everywhere I go. I don't see respect in Guyana. Like yourself, I lived overseas over 42 years. And since I came back to Guyana, I have not seen respect.
Much respect.
I remember growing up here, there was a lot of respect. But respect doesn't exist. I think we have a lot more suicide than is recorded, because in the private hospitals, they are not recorded as suicide. And I do a lot of counseling at the private hospital where I'm friends with some of the doctors, and I go there and they'll tell me it's a suicide case, and if I can talk to the people. When you talk to these people that attempt to commit suicide, and I was sharing that, according to the medical doctors, grambazone is like, you cannot survive. And that's like the pesticide that's very famous in Guyana, next to alcohol. People are committing suicide every day.
Yes.
And people are committing suicide with cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, everything else, the way they drive. Not just consuming something that we call suicide. You know, every day you hear of all these motor accidents and all kinds of things, but we don't classify them as suicide. People look at suicide not as a problem, but as a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to get that message across, that suicide is not a solution. It's the beginning of a whole lot of problems for those who are still alive. I think that message has to be made. Last night, I just so happened that I got a call. Somebody says, could you please call this girl? She wants to commit suicide, this lady. So I call her up. I had my wife call her up and talk to her. I said, okay, let me talk to her. Then I spoke to her husband, who was under the influence of alcohol. She explained to me she has nowhere to go. She can't go to her mother. Her whole family, there's several suicide cases in the family that has been handed down. She feels she attempted twice already. And luckily for neighbors or whatever, she got saved. And then she said she doesn't have anywhere to go. I said, well, I can come and pick you up. You can come stay with us until you can lose out. But please don't come to suicide. She has a handicapped child. She has 2 children. I gave her a wheelchair last year. She was asking me if she can get a new wheelchair again. I said, I'll try. She says, I'm not happy. Why should I stay in this? My husband comes home drunk every night, and I'm not happy. I have no answer for her. All I could tell her is, look, don't do anything tonight. I'm going to come by tomorrow, and we will sit and talk and see what we can do for you. Yeah, and she promised not to do that because somebody else is getting, she has to go pick up the wheelchair today. I think this is where we need to focus on housing, shelter, place for people to come, and with the Honorable Minister saying that the police has a helpline, and people think that they're going to be charged if they get caught trying to commit suicide. I think decriminalizing suicide, not the police handling the hotline, but NGOs, religious organization. He said the chaplains from the police service are handling the calls, but I think we could do more as a society if we understand that this is a national epidemic, it's a national problem, and to find the root of it is what we have to look at. And for me, being out in the field, I think counseling is really needed in this country. From the schools, in the schools, they don't have counselors. Nobody identifies problems in the school. And from the school, it comes to the home because you can identify it very easily in the school. And there is no society, there's no counseling in society that's being provided, except for some of the NGOs. I know some people who have told me that they call help and shelter and used to talk to counselors, and that would save them from committing suicide. So I want to congratulate Help and Shelter for that, you know? And so I think more work like that. But where's the funding going to come from? Unless you get funding for this kind of stuff, you can't have a shelter. You can't have a house. You know, at one time I proposed there's a large building in Enmore. I don't want to take too much time. There's a large building in Enmore by the Divine Society, sitting empty for years. And when I came here 5 years ago, I said, they gave me that building to, so you can use it. I said that would be a perfect place to put the shelter for battered women, children, suicide. There was no money for it. There's no funding, nowhere you go, because Guyana does not have an alcohol problem. Guyana does not have an abuse problem. And Guyana doesn't have a problem with suicide. People are just causing their own problem. That's what I was told by people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to be the bad guy here because we're also working with time. These experiences are wonderful, but please limit them. Please be concise. And the good thing that he did was he did suggest some solutions. At the end of it, whatever your contribution is, that is what we're looking for. Suggestion for solutions that we can put within a framework and offer. So please be conscious of time. Please focus on solutions. Please limit the amount of experiences you want to share so we can keep going.
Just before we move on to the next speaker, just to recap in brief, your points are succinctly: we lack respect in this society, including respect for life. The second is we have too readily available, too much ready availability of deadly drugs, insecticides, and so on. The third is the call from the individual, which you are implicitly suggesting we systematize. Then, not if one individual calling you, you need to establish a system where people would call all the time, anyone, right, and train the force, your police force. The police force is like my neighbors. Your solutions are three. One, housing. You can't return a victim to the scene of the victimized, the victimizing. It doesn't make sense. We do that all the time. Right? Somebody beats up his wife, drunk, beat him up, we put them right back in the hole to get beaten some more. Right? And step by step it leads to suicide. And that's your point. Second, shelters, which I suspect are more temporary than the housing. And then counseling. It's a huge point, that counseling. We have no published psychologists. I think there's one in this room. No published psychologists in this country. Not a one. Right? So, yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, there's a missing link. You also mentioned the missing link between the school and the community.
Counseling.
Yes.
I'm trying to put it all in one word. Yes, sir. So
Just a little clarification. We heard earlier on this morning that suicide is essentially a mental health issue, and in particular relates to more depression. So depression is critical in this whole thing. If you were to take the case of Guyana, look at the most at-risk population, it's the victim population. It would therefore mean that it is this population that is more susceptible or is suffering from the greater or the greatest level of depression. Can we make that correlation, and if so, on what basis? Do we know of any studies to show, to establish the level of depression in the human community? So this is something that I'm kind of curious and working on. See, I don't know if anybody else in your general like theory or And is there a correlation between depression in the Indian community, if depression is the essential cause, and suicide?
No, sir. I understand what you're asking, but no. That is what I'm trying to make sure I emphasize. Guyana as a whole, there have been several studies that says Guyana as a whole has an issue with mental illness. Can I tell you that it's just an Indian issue? That is not, in my opinion, true. Do most East Indian, our larger population for committing suicide? Yes. I've heard a number of 90% I have problems with that, because that is not correct. Certain areas in Guyana are highly populated by certain ethnic groups. If someone would do a comprehensive study according to the regions, you may find out that everyone is within the same, some margin. Because, come on now, think of it. What is when you divide, let's say, Eastern Afro-Guyanese, what's the ratio? This is why I have problems when folks say it's an East Indian problem. And I keep emphasizing it's a Guyanese problem.
I really don't have a problem saying.
No, I understand.
No, no, no.
I understand. It's, the reason why I say that is because, look, let's be honest. If I tell you it's an East Indian problem, folks may not want to help you. They may turn their back against you. Let's be honest. No, sir. You brought the question up and I will address it the best way I can. I am not here to say it's an Indian problem, it's a black problem, it's an anybody problem. I'm here to say, sir, there's a Chinese problem and let's do something about it. Now, you may argue all you wish. That is your point. That is your respect to do so. But all I want to know is, when that 12-year-old child texts me at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't see an Indian child. I just see a child hurting. That's all.
Okay, it's straight.
That's all I care about. You can say whatever you wish. I respect your right to do so. But my background and my credential tells me it's a personal problem, it's a social problem. And that's the way I'm going to deal with it.
And NOCA represents the views of the Caribbean Voice. We don't see this as an ethnic problem. We see this as a national problem.
Sir, I'm not saying
No, we understand.
I'm saying that the statistics in this country points that it is the Indian, it is a largely an Indian issue. So I'm asking if depression is the cause has been established, can we show correlation between depression and the Indian community? That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Just a second.
Hold on.
I think there is validity to the question, right? But to answer the question directly, that's where we're going wrong. There are no statistics in this place. Nobody is doing any study on it. University of Guyana is useless because nothing is coming out of it. Nothing at all, right? But what we do know, sir, is that Berbice is the region 6, is the epicenter of suicide. And within Berbice, a place called Black Bush is the epicenter. So we know those things. But you're pointing to a very important issue, the lack of research and studies on this. There has been a study done 2 Februaries ago. In 2014, right? We did a study in Berbice. It's a massive document. I gave it to, I sent it over by email. It's a massive document. We spent months doing it, very much like this forum, pretty much bigger. I think about maybe 200 people, right? We had breakout sessions and so on. All kinds of things came out of that, right? I spent about 4 months, day and night, working on this report, and no one even bothered to pick it up.
You see, at the time, right?
So it's unread.
At the time, right, when we told the minister was there, Les Ramsam didn't accept it. He said it wasn't true. About Bambush Polo. He said that wasn't true. That is not true with that rate in suicide. It wasn't true. We didn't have, so we didn't get any funding. Years now we volunteer, we haven't gotten any funding on our own.
All right. Before
May I?
just Pamela. No, just before you. Again, please let us not digress too far. I mean, there are lots of issues we can argue whether the statistics exist or not, whether this is the case or not. The position of the Caribbean Voice is very simple. People are hurting, people are committing suicide, they're Guyanese. As Norca said, we don't see black, blue, green, or red. We're not here to discuss black, blue, green, or red. This is not an academic conference, so we're not going to argue over the academics of it. We don't care whether the statistics say 60% or 80% of one group or what. We care that Guyanese are committing suicide in too large numbers. Guyanese. We're here to say, what can we do to help that situation? Guyanese. We're not here to argue statistics. We're not here to argue academics. You can always argue for one thing or against one thing ad infinitum, and you can never arrive at a consensus and agreement on it. What we agree on, we agree that suicide is here, it's a tremendous problem, it needs to be addressed. How do we address it? That, please, let's stay focused on that. Let's not bring in the academics and the statistics and the argument. Those are not going to give us the solution, okay? And again, there are a lot of hands. We really do want to have everybody, so let's try to be as brief and concise as possible. I think you were next.
My name is Malcolm Appleton. I'm a professional counselor. I'm also a mediator. My contribution is that you mentioned in your presentation